Evoke a beach, nice. All right, guys, we might get started. It's really great to be hosting this webinar today. Thank you so much for all coming along. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to in-person events in the near future, but very excited to be having everybody here together today, albeit virtually. First, a few just quick housekeeping notes. If I could please ask you to just keep your selves on mute during the presentations. And I guess unlike a normal in-person event, would very much like to encourage you to chat throughout this session today. So please use the chat function, say hi, and feel free to ask any questions to our panelists. There will be a Q&A session at the end, so we'll try to read out as many of those questions as we can. Finally, this meetup is being recorded, so you don't have to go crazy with taking screen grabs or anything like that. And today, this meetup is being hosted by us, Process Creative. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andy and I'm the director at Process Creative. We're a digital agency based in Redfern, Sydney. We've been around for about 15 years and there's 25 of us. We're proud Shopify Plus partners, recognized as one of the leading Shopify agencies in the region. We work with brands such as Frank Green, Topeka, Oxford, Carla's and Patty. We specialize in brand-led sites and are leading the charge against commoditized cookie-cutter commerce. We're all about helping you better communicate your brand narrative whilst delivering a truly memorable, unique experience that fosters genuine engagement, loyalty, and conversions. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you're interested in having a chat about all things and anything e-commerce. All right, kicking things off now. I can't believe we're halfway through the year already, outrageous. We're still seeing unprecedented growth from e-com merchants off the back of what has been a crazy 2020, wild times. As we rev up to the business end of the year, we're seeing so much opportunity out there for savvy merchants, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to dive into acquisition, or essentially, how can we drive more qualified traffic through to your site? I know this is a topic that's we always get tons of questions about, so we thought we'd dedicate an entire webinar to it. And to do just that, we've got an all-star, all-female panel to discuss that very topic. So today, we're very lucky to be hearing from Jill Parker from Shopify Plus, Alexandra Voschel from Google, Jess Vassallo from Vocative Media, as well as Sabrina Jacquier-Parr, hope I did that all right, Sabrina, who is the founder of Kiko. So today, each talk's going to run for about 10 minutes. And as I said before, there is going to be a Q&A session at the end. Please feel free, again, just another reminder, to pop any questions into the chat panel as we go. All right, first up, we've got Jill Parker. Jill is a merchant success manager from Shopify Plus. She works very closely with merchants to help them scale their business utilizing Shopify Plus features with a strong focus on strategic growth strategies, particularly in the areas of acquisition, conversion, and retention. Today, Jill's going to be sharing with us some key acquisition trends. And over to you, Jill.
Perfect. Thank you, Andy. So as Andy mentioned, I am a merchant success manager working with Shopify Plus merchants across Asia Pacific. And I am zooming in today from a small town called Mount Beauty, which is in Victoria's northeast. So when the topic of acquisition came up for this meetup, I immediately thought of a frequent question that I've been getting recently. And that's what's happening with the iOS 14 update and how is it going to affect my business? So I'll be covering off what's changing, what you can do about it, and then I'll also touch on a couple of other acquisition strategies that some merchants are using to diversify their sales channels. So first up, iOS 14.5 update, what is changing? This is just a high-level overview of what's going on. And so this is some information that we've pulled from industry experts. And so other MSMs help our merchants with some of this information. So what do we know that's changing? We know that Apple's App Tracking Transparency, or ATT prompt, will now display when a user opens, downloads, or updates an app for the first time after they've downloaded the new iOS. They then have to opt in to let that app track them. So this change affects all platforms that collect data to to use personalized advertising. So Facebook, Instagram, etc. Today, I'll probably focus more on Facebook, as it's probably the platform that most of the merchants on this call are familiar with. So those restrictions are really coming into play for those who opt out. But if you find that people are opting out, which a lot are, it's not all bad news. So you'll still actually be able to see some events. You just need to prioritize them. So previously, you could see a series of events such as viewed product, added to cart, purchased, etc. And so now you'll be able to see one event based on the priority of events that you choose. Another thing that's changing is that the way you track your campaigns will change for those who have opted out. So brands should probably start to anticipate that past purchasers could now become part of your prospecting campaigns if they have opted out. So those who have opted out, we're not going to see age, gender, region, placement breakdown, etc. We also know that the attribution window has also changed. So the default used to be 28 days after a click and 1 day after a view. And this is now changing to a 7-day click and a 1-day view. So those are just a few of the main changes. Now, what can you do about it as a brand? So the impact on ad performance is yet to be fully understood, right? So this is changing before our eyes. But what we have found is that the following actions should and could help deliver a more personalized experience to users who do consent to tracking. So again, I'll use Facebook in this instance. So number one, verify your domain. So domain verification establishes which business manager account has the authority to configure and prioritize the 8 available conversion events for a given domain. Facebook has documentation on how to verify domains, so you can always go there for reference. So number 2, select the 8 preferred web conversions. So going forward, you will be limited to use the use of 8 conversion events per domain for optimization. So it's important for you to consider which events are right for your brand. So most e-commerce brands will probably track all 4 purchase events, initiate checkout, add to cart, and view content. Number 3, consider using the conversions API or CAPI. So the Facebook channel integration with Shopify, it lets you choose how you want data to be collected and shared between your online store and Facebook. So in the data sharing settings, you have 3 levels to choose from. You can choose standard, enhanced, or maximum. If you select maximum, then your store will use Facebook Conversion API as well as the Facebook Pixel. Again, you can find more information on CAPI and the Facebook channel in Shopify help documentation as well as Facebook. So finally, and probably more and most importantly, is really doubling down on building your email list. So with an increase in the reliance on using lookalike audiences to drive traffic, it's more important than ever to really focus on building a customer database to collect relevant user data. So when you own your leads, you're always able to remarket via email or retargeting ads and drive more sales with lower acquisition costs. I'm personally seeing a lot more merchants using pop-up for email capture or tools like quizzes to really capture user data and build highly targeted segments. So that's a high-level overview of the changes and what you can do. There's a lot of great information out there and plenty of help documents, so have a look on Shopify help or Facebook. Okay, now I'll move on to a couple of interesting sales channels that merchants are starting to invest in. So TikTok. Through the TikTok channel, which is now available in Australia, Shopify merchants can access core functions of the TikTok for Business Ads Manager without leaving the Shopify dashboard. So why TikTok? And there's a few stats that I'll go through, which kind of explains why. So we're noticing that first mover brands on TikTok are receiving an average post reach rate of 118% on TikTok versus 5.5% on Facebook and around 5% on Instagram stories. They're also seeing a huge average engagement rate of 8% compared with the 0.09% on Facebook and about 1.6 on Instagram. So some of the highlights of the integration include a one-click pixel, so Shopify merchants can install or connect their TikTok pixel with a click of a button. You also have one-stop shop for TikTok campaigns, so merchants can create campaigns, target audiences, and track performance in one place. One particular merchant, Etoile Collective, they love using the TikTok, as videos they've noticed had historically been their highest engaged and converting pieces of content on their site. So they really love having an audience that's already ready to watch video with sound. Another merchant, Bondi Blades, they engage with their audience by packing orders live on TikTok. So they noted that the audience on TikTok generally loves to feel like they're really a part of the brand. And they're able to use this platform to engage on a much more personal level than they had before. Another new and interesting channel is Pinterest. There we go. So Shopify has recently expanded the Pinterest partnership to 26 new regions. And Pinterest has more than 350 million monthly active users, turning to them for inspiration. And given that these users, they tend to conduct unbranded searches, right? So this new integration allows merchants to reach more shoppers and help them discover the brands they love. So as mentioned, these channels are relatively new, but I'm super excited to see how our merchants grow with these channels. And so it's absolutely a space to watch. Now, finally, as mentioned before, there's a number of resources available to you. Our Shopify Plus blog goes into detail on the iOS 14 update. A personal favorite podcast of mine is the Unofficial Shopify podcast, and they have a really great episode specifically on the iOS 14 updates. Other great podcasts include, just for leveling up in general as a merchant, is Shopify Masters. And then you can always reference Shopify Help Center, Facebook Help Center, etc. And we will link a number of these resources post the meetup. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Jill. There's certainly been a lot of talk about the recent iOS updates at the moment, and I know a lot of our clients have been asking a heap of questions about that topic. So it's really great to have such a thorough explanation of what's involved and how best to prepare. Great idea to be diversifying your acquisition sources too. And on to our next speaker. We're very, very lucky today to have Alexandra Voschel. Alex is a strategic partner manager at Google, whom she's been working with for 6 years. She has a wealth of international experience in tech, digital marketing, and partnerships. Alex has been leading the e-commerce partnerships team at Google Channel Sales for Australia and New Zealand. And today, Alex is going to be sharing with us some insights about how you can leverage Google to grow your business. Over to you, Alex.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Andy. And hello, everyone. I'm dialing in from the Google office, which was closed for some time, but finally we are allowed to come back. And it's such a pleasure to be here. I'm here today to tell you pretty quickly in 10 minutes how Google can help you grow your business online. And if we move to the next slide, we all know that shoppers' behavior has changed quite dramatically over just 1 year. And in 2020, 9 million households in Australia made an online purchase. And what's even more inspiring to us at Google is that over 1 million of those households did it for the first time. So with consumers increasingly adapting to the digital-first lifestyle, getting in front of shoppers in their moments of need and inspiration is more important than ever before. So how do you, as a business, drive sales? We all know that catching the right shopper at the right time and with the right message is becoming more and more challenging. At Google, we decided to address that challenge and help businesses put their products in front of shoppers who are looking for what they offer when they are searching on Google. And whether those shoppers are at home or on mobile or actually in the store checking for the products right in front of them. Introducing smart shopping campaigns, which use Google's technology to help retailers drive more sales. Smart shopping campaigns put your product in front of potential customers in a visual, immersive, and engaging way to give shoppers detailed information about what they are selling before even people click on an ad. So in an example over here, we can see the smart shopping campaign in action. The ads in front of you are being displayed for the search query such as digital camera. So you can see visual examples of cameras from all the different retailers, together with the price of the product, reviews, and any special offer that the retailer wants to offer. And also when you click on the image or text, that will take you to your Shopify store or any other website you want to use outside of that as well. So in order to be successful, businesses need to find the most effective way to acquire new customers. Relying solely on waiting for a customer to seek out your products often isn't enough to achieve your growth and the goals you put for your business. Smart shopping campaigns help you automatically find new customers while hitting your business goals. I'll give you 4 different examples how you can reach people while using the Google Shopping ads. So you can reach people who are searching for your product. Let's say people who have never been to your website but are interested to buying a digital camera or sports shoes at the moment. Second type of audience that you can reach are people who actually visited your website. Maybe they have visited a specific product on your website but haven't purchased from you. So with the smart shopping campaign, you can reach customers like that as well. And then you can also reach people who have an interest in certain type of products, let's say sport attire, also have not visited your website, but are browsing on Google. And we have the ability to show the ads to people like that as well. And then last but not least, you can also run a campaign that is dedicated to your existing customer if you want to drive repeated sales or you want to promote complementary products to those that they already bought. With smart shopping campaigns, Google's machine learning uses something that we call a product feed to create and show a variety of ads across different networks. And that includes the Google Shopping ecosystem, Google Search, which is most familiar to all of us, Google Display, which is our repository of different websites, YouTube, which is the biggest video platform, and also Gmail. Your budget that you decide to dedicate to that channel will be automatically optimized across all the different channels with our systems trying to find the most profitable channel for you, and with the algorithms bidding for maximum conversion value for any given budget. And if you are a Shopify customer already, the good news is that you can launch your smart shopping campaigns directly on Shopify. Shopify can use your existing store and products information to automatically create a Google feed, which is the backbone of a successful smart shopping campaign. Setting a Google feed manually can be at times quite difficult and time consuming. So through this integration with Google, Shopify has made this process easier by removing many steps and complexity for you. What this offers to you is automatic feed creation and easy feed management, simple smart shopping campaign setup, as well as the ability to review and tweak campaign performance directly within your Shopify store. Also, if you have never advertised on Google before, you can qualify for extra ad credits. When you start advertising with smart shopping campaigns, you can earn ad credits up to 150 Australian dollars within your first 30 days. So by now you might be wondering, okay, that sounds great. How do I start? So the first step is to add the Google channel as a sales channel within your Shopify platform. Or if you would prefer, you can also download the free Google Channel app directly from the Shopify App Store. And once you've completed this step, you can create a new Google Merchant Center account or use your existing one and connect with your Shopify account. Google Merchant Center account, not a scary name. It is something that you need to have within the Google ecosystem if you want to run Google Ads, but Shopify can help you create an account. With this integration, what it means is that any changes you'll make either within Shopify or within Google will be automatically adjusted and synced between those two accounts. So you don't need to make changes twice. And once you've set up your Google channel in Shopify and the billing settings in Google Ads, you'll be ready to manage or create a new smart shopping campaign in Shopify. Through this integration, Shopify and Google make it pretty easy to create marketing campaigns that put your products in front of the right shoppers without even having to leave Shopify. Let's illustrate that by an example. So we'll now have a look at a case study of a successful entrepreneur and the founder of Pono Woodworks, Brett Gontarek, who has a store on Shopify and decided to give the Google channel a go. Let's play the video.
Live. We're recording. Running a company, being a solopreneur, is very difficult. It's kind of never-ending work. But there's something kind of wonderful about that too. Pono Woodworks is a design and woodworking studio based out of Honolulu. The thing that I like about Shopify is that it's elegant. It gets out of your way and lets you create. You don't need a developer. You don't need a marketing person. You know, you can kind of do it yourself. So I use the Google channel on Shopify to run smart shopping campaigns. The Google channel enables me to reach customers that I wouldn't reach otherwise. We started with a $5 a day budget, and I figured I could afford a latte to see where it would go. And we just sat back and monitored it and watched it. And over time, it learned where to sell it the best. And we just kind of grew it from there. I think the best part about it for somebody that's busy trying to run a business is that it's automated. You set in all your parameters and then let it run, and it kind of takes care of all the heavy lifting for you. Last year, Smart Shopping increased revenue by 160% for that campaign over the year. For every dollar we put in, we get 12 out. The Google Smart Shopping campaigns really become the foundation of our marketing, and everything else is kind of built on that. So I think being a one-man band is kind of hard. You know, you kind of just have to keep grinding, keep working, kind of stack up the small wins, and eventually you kind of create something. And I think the thing that I love about it most is what you put in is what you get out at the end of the day. And that's what makes it worth it.
Great. Thank you for playing it. I love this story and I hope you enjoyed it too. So with that, that's all what I have for you today. I really hope that you found this session useful and that you've learned something new. Thank you so much. And I'll pass it now back to Andy.
Thanks so much, Alex. That automated smart shopping integration with Shopify looks like a really neat, easy option for merchants looking to drive more traffic through to their site. And maybe perhaps especially for those merchants who are not quite sure where to start, I think it's just a really, really easy way to get up and running. I also really liked that there was a focus on the different stages of the purchasing cycle, from initial discovery right through to repeat purchases. Just a quick reminder to everyone, when using the chat feature, might want to set that the to field to everyone. That way we can all see your comments, and it's a little bit more fun that way. Cool. On to our next speaker. We have Jess Vassallo. Jess is the founder and head of growth at Evocative Media, an e-commerce growth marketing agency based here in Sydney. I'm pleased to say that we've been partnering closely with Jess and her team for a number of years now, and they've successfully generated more than $46 million worth of revenue for their clients through Facebook advertising and email marketing in the past year alone. Today, Jess is going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, email marketing. So over to you, Jess.
Thanks, Andy. Nice to meet you all. As Andy was saying, we are a digital marketing agency focused on generating sales and revenue through email marketing and Facebook advertising, specifically for e-commerce brands. So I'll jump into the first slide. I'm going to try and make this as value-packed as possible, so please feel free to screenshot any of the slides as we go. So email marketing, it is one of the most effective ways to sell your products online. So if we have a look at some of the stats here, 49% of consumers want to receive promotional emails from their favorite brands. 81% of consumers say they are likely to buy after receiving emails based on their shopping habits. For every $1 that a brand spends with email marketing, they are receiving a whopping $38 in return, which is pretty insane in today's market. And last but certainly not least, 80% of businesses rely on email as their primary channel for acquisition and retention. So if you've ever heard the saying, email marketing is dead, I am here to assure you that is certainly not the case. So let's slide into the next slide. I've listed here a couple of reasons why email marketing really matters for your e-commerce brand. And further to what Jill was saying a little earlier about owning your database and owning your data, it's never been more important, especially in 2021, to start to acquire and improve the growth of your email database. As they say, the money is in the list. So it's really important to have high quality users or consumers on that list. With the platforms rolling out the iOS 14 changes, we've seen it impact Facebook advertising over the past few months, and I'm sure that this will continue in the months to come. So really important to leverage that database and continue to focus on list growth. Secondly, it's incredibly effective at driving sales online. I'm going to show you in a few slides' time just how effective it can be at driving sales for your e-com brand. Third, it is a great way to nurture customer relationships and really start to encourage loyalty and retention. Fourth, it's a great way to unlock customer insights to grow your business faster. So essentially what that means, you get access to information about your customers' shopping behavior. So the more that you know, the more you can grow. So incredibly powerful insights can come from your email marketing platform if you are using the right platform. And then last but certainly not least, it is extremely cost effective and measurable. Platforms like Klaviyo allow you to DIY a lot of the setup with your email automations and also sending out campaigns. So let's move into the next slide there. So with email marketing, you can nurture your customers through every stage of the buying cycle. So imagine showing up for your customers at the right time with the right message and encouraging them to take the action that you want. This is definitely a slide worth screenshotting. I'm going to zip through them quite quickly. So if we have a look at that buying cycle, we're looking at the awareness stage. So introducing your brand. I've mapped out the goals there. So do take a screenshot. So awareness, your goal is to make new people aware of your brand and products. Acquisition, we're not talking about acquisition of acquiring the sale, we're talking about acquisition of customer information. So earning those contact details. Your goal is to convince potential customers to subscribe to your database. Conversion, this is where those sales come in. So building trust and winning the sale. Your goal is to nurture your subscribers by educating them about your product value until they decide to buy. And then fulfillment, so this is you delivering on your promise. Your goal is to deliver your products or services to your customer's doorstep as promised. And last but most certainly not least is the loyalty component. So reward and grow loyalty with your consumers. So your goal here is to engage with people who have made at least one purchase in order to drive more purchases and create brand advocates. Next slide. So when done right, email marketing can be incredibly effective at driving sales. On the right-hand side, you're going to see screenshots from some of the client accounts that we work with. And this is specifically with Klaviyo. We do specialize in Klaviyo email marketing, hence why you're seeing a lot of the Klaviyo screenshots of sales that we've been able to drive from the platform itself. At the top, you'll see revenue driven from Klaviyo for 3 particular accounts. In a single month, we generated $408,000 from email marketing alone. That's split between campaigns and email automations. Then you'll go on to see throughout just some of those screenshots there, some pretty decent figures. There's a mix between end of financial year sales. For one particular client last year, we were able to generate just from 2 campaigns alone over 110,000 in sales. So it can be pretty effective if you do have the right systems, processes and strategies in place. And obviously it all comes down to that high value list. Next slide. Cool. So here's what you can do now to increase sales with email marketing. I would definitely recommend screenshotting this slide. Now, as I said earlier, the money is in the list. So what you want to do is start to encourage list growth. I've listed a couple of strategies that we implement for all of our clients. Now, a really important caveat, test. Test every single strategy to ensure it's the right strategy for your brand. Like anything, you have to test to see if it's going to generate sales or generate the action that you want it to. So I'll just whiz through a couple of these strategies. So caption name and email addresses via a website pop-up. If you are on the Klaviyo platform, you can actually use Klaviyo's internal pop-up, or you can use a platform like Justsuno, or this can be done via various amount of different apps connected to your Shopify store. As I said, test various different offers, messaging, incentives to gauge best performing email capture strategies. There's a lot of different things that you can do, but it's really important that you get all of your subscribers to consent to receiving email marketing. Really, really important, guys, that you cannot email your subscribers even if they're on the list, but if they haven't opted in to accept marketing, by law, you cannot email them. So really important that you have things in place like the pre-tick subscribe to marketing at checkout button, which is something that you can do via Shopify. There's a couple of other strategies you can implement, like running a competition to increase that list growth and adding a targeted landing page to your website to capture customer information. So really focus on 2021, growing that list. The bigger the list, the higher the quality it is. And the more list cleaning that you do month on month, the more it improves and ultimately generates more sales. Next slide. So here's what you need in place to increase sales, improve customer retention, and create the ultimate customer experience. Now, what I've listed here in order of priority is the email automations that you need to have in place just to ensure you have a very smooth and seamless experience for your customers via email marketing. Now, automations are based on behaviors, so customer behaviors on site. So in order of priority, I definitely recommend having set up a welcome series, introducing people to your brand, your products, making them feel like they're a part of something really special and something that's quite unique to your brand. Klaviyo does make it easy to DIY a lot of the automations, and you can customize them as you wish. Abandoned cart series, obviously it is, as it says, it's based on behaviors of those who abandon cart. Post-purchase, incredibly important, and I think definitely one that we see a lot of e-com brands not having set up, which is unfortunate, because if we're having a look at long-term sustainable growth, we really want to have a look at encouraging people to give their feedback about what they liked or didn't like about your brand, and really nurturing that relationship post-purchase, ultimately encouraging them to come back and purchase again. And then we've got browse abandonment, again, similar to abandoned cart, but not as high purchase intent. Still a revenue driving automation. We definitely recommend getting set up. And then the customer win back. So that goes out to those who are typically disengaged with your brand. And it's all about encouraging them to come back and make that purchase. Last but certainly not least is segmentation. So segmentation of your database can do wonders for your e-com brand and can allow you to create more personalized email marketing, which is pretty much the name of the game when it comes to getting your customers to convert. The more personalized it is, the higher the chances are that they're actually going to convert. So imagine showing a customer a product that might be of interest to them based on their behaviors. So everything is based on their behaviors on site. It's incredibly powerful if you're able to segment that database. We definitely recommend getting something in place in terms of that segmentation. So take a screenshot of some of those segments. It's easy, as I said, to set up via Klaviyo. It's great ease of use, the platform, and allows you to set things up nice and easy and relatively quick. Last slide. These are just some of the platforms that we recommend. Of course, it's very, very important for you to do your own due diligence. They're not always going to be the right fit for your brand, and most certainly not encouraging you to move over. But of course, as I've mentioned, Klaviyo, it is, in my opinion, a platform that is second to none for e-com brands wanting to really up-level their email marketing. It is an incredibly powerful platform. We've seen e-com brands migrate from Mailchimp over to Klaviyo, and some seeing a more than 50% increase in sales just by doing so and having the right strategies in place. And then there's a couple of other apps that we integrate nicely with Klaviyo and Shopify as well, that might be worth checking out. So we use Recharge for those brands who have subscription-based products, Loyalty Line and Smile.io for loyalty-based apps that a lot of our clients are using, and then Stamped and Okendo for those reviews-based apps. And that's pretty much me. I hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to ask any questions.
Wow. Thanks so much, Jess. I think for years I've been preaching that email is such an underutilized sales channel. And I think with the recent iOS updates, folks are starting to finally realize the benefits of having that direct access to their customers. Almost always we're seeing clients, underinvest in this area, though that is starting to change. Some of the stats in those slides were just phenomenal. $38 return for every dollar spent. Just let that one sink in for a little bit. It's kind of nuts. So I definitely think, focus on your e-commerce strategy. Focus on your email strategies for sure. Okay, last but by no means least, we have Sabrina Jacquier-Parr. Sabrina is the founder and head of the holistic oral wellness brand Kiko. Sabrina started Kiko as a result of her own experiences with poor health and a case of bleeding gums. She found success with a Ayurvedic dental routine. You can correct me there, Sabrina, in a minute, but was still frustrated by the toxic dental industry. She set out to create a product range that is both safe, natural, and effective, and built a successful e-commerce business on these grounds. I'm very pleased to say that Sabrina is one of our many very valued clients here at Process. And today, Sabrina is going to be taking us on a little bit of a journey on her journey as an oral care entrepreneur. Over to you, Sabrina.
Thanks, Andy. As Andy said, hi, my name's Sabrina, and I am the founder of Kiko Oral Care, a range of natural dental products, which I like to call oral wellness essentials. I'm really thrilled to be speaking to you today and just giving you a little insight into my business journey. I'm sure there's probably some things that people can relate to. So next slide, thanks. I founded the business in 2016, and I did it as I was juggling my full-time job for the first couple of years, and that really was quite a big challenge. When I first started the brand, a lot of my friends asked me, like, why teeth? Like, oral care has never been it's not the sexiest category, but it was always something that I had been obsessed with, and not necessarily in a healthy way. The first 10 plus years of my life, if we move into the next slide, you'll see that I was actually a professional dancer. I worked in cabaret and musical theatre. I worked in many different countries all around the world. It was a job that I loved, but it required total dedication and perseverance. And as a performer, I was always really obsessed with everything that I could do to whiten my smile for the stage. That meant leaving white teeth whitening strips on overnight, to literally flying to Las Vegas in early 2000 for laser teeth whitening, which was not very common at the time. Not great things, really did a lot of damage. So a culmination of that, and late nights, poor diet, poor dental care. I hadn't seen a dentist in years at that stage. It left me with some pretty significant health issues, which eventually led me through to alternative therapies like yoga and Ayurvedic medicine. So that's actually how my business started, as a pain point. I was doing an Ayurvedic therapy called oil pulling, which I'll show you on the next slide. which is an oil-based mouthwash typically done with coconut oil these days. And it really assists with overall health and well-being. But I just hated spooning chunks of coconut oil in my mouth. So this led me to develop my first product, which is what you see on the screen, which is a real adaptation of this ancient therapy of oil pulling, but for a modern day consumer in easy to use sachets. Now, I had a vision of disrupting the oral care category and making it a much more self-care approach to dental care. I really wanted to position it in the beauty category through eye-catching packaging, alternative products like oil pulling, clean natural formulas, and really fun and engaging copywriting products that people actually would enjoy using rather than seeing as a chore, and that had, total body benefits. As a lot of young, naive business people, I went into it thinking, if you build it, they will come sort of mentality. And I launched it as a direct-to-consumer business model and an absolute shoestring. Next slide will show you just some of the products. And then if we move to the next slide, you'll see my original website, which I launched in 2016. And then the next one, Which Process Creative, redesigned in 2020. Now, I got a really cool design agency and spent pretty much all my capital on designing a really beautiful range of products, but I overextended myself on the initial SKU offering. And so I had very limited budget to drive traffic, to my website. The upside of that was that both the product and the packaging was so disruptive at the time that it got noticed. I soon had retailers approaching me wanting to stock my range. Retailers like Urban Outfitters, Anthropologie, Nordstrom, Goop. So there was quite a through coming through. Thankfully, I had built enough margin to handle this, but I'll admit that was inadvertent and not really planned. So what soon became apparent to me that whilst the US was really ready for my products, Australia not so much. We're really missing that middle tier retailer that a young indie brand like myself could really tap into and start to gain some brand recognition and traction. So it was either a health food store, which really didn't fit my packaging design or price point, or a top tier retailer like Sephora, who wanted to see an established brand. So thankfully that really has started to shift, at least in the oral care category and beauty categories, I think, over the last few years. So with this shift of focus that came into wholesale, and particularly the US market, came a whole host of challenges that I had absolutely no idea that was coming. I had a shipment of toothbrushes, just manual toothbrushes, get stuck in US customs because I was not aware at the time that that was an FDA medical device. And as such, I was required to hold an FDA medical device registration for $8,000 US a year. So that was fun. But throughout all this time, what I'd started to do was to create a little network of brand owners, often whom I would reach out to on Instagram and just let them know, hey, I really love your product, I love your mission. And it really was through these connections that I found a network of support that I could reach out to when shit really did hit the fan. And, it has happened a few times. I've had packaging turn up 20,000 units completely wrong, faulty, all in the bin. And I needed a new supplier stat, and I needed someone that had been vetted, that someone else had used, that I was confident wouldn't deliver me, crap. So, there were many of those moments. And so through all those challenges, I think my why on creating my business was always really clear to me from the start. I wanted the freedom of time to dictate my own days. I wanted to have more time for myself besides just working, and to be the master of my own financial destiny. But I quickly found myself with less time than ever before, often being the last to be paid, if at all, sometimes. And I can't tell you how many times I asked myself, why the hell am I doing this? But what I came to realize was that it's never been easier to create a product, but it's also never been harder to stand out from the crowd. And often the difference is as simple as pure determination and grit to just keep going one day at a time. I had to keep my why at the forefront of my mind quite often in those times to just keep going. So, business is always business. It's going to be a series of challenges and hurdles and, monumental failures. But it's all about how you react and act in the face of those, and the support of those people, those other small business owners that you've gathered around yourself. That's really made the difference for me. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. I really love hearing about merchant stories and how brands get started. And I also know from your previous feedback that it's something that our attendees are really, really keen to hear more of too. Always super inspiring. Okay, and now on to my favorite part. We're going to invite all of our speakers back for a Q&A panel. So we'll stop sharing the screen here so that you can see everyone. Great to see a bunch of questions being sent through. Keep them coming. We do have quite a few questions that were submitted during the registration process, and we might start with them first. We'll do our best to get through as many as we have time for. So I'm just going to open that now. All right, our first one is for Jill. So Jill, with the move to rich media, when will Shopify allow small MP4 files to act as product thumbnails?
Yeah, great question. But from what I understand, it's currently available. So let me just think. So the product image thumbnails is what we refer to as product media. So there's a help doc in Shopify Help that can go through it. So you can upload images, videos, 3D models. The video specifically, I believe, can be up to 60 seconds and up to 1 gig. And that can be an MP4 or .mov. Again, our help documents have all of the specs for that. And you, I believe, for a 3D model and video, you might need a theme that supports it. So that might be something there to look into.
Thanks so much, Jill. That was an anonymous one, but if anybody wants to reach out on chat for more info, we can send you through the relevant link through to the Shopify docs on that one. But we're seeing a lot of merchants leverage that specific functionality, particularly on product listing pages, which can be a bit boring from time to time. So a little bit of movement throughout those pages can be a really great thing to get people's attention. We're going to stick with Jill for the next question. So Jill, will Shopify be adding its own subscription model to the system anytime soon to avoid having to use an app, as this is becoming a big deal in e-commerce these days?
Yeah, it definitely is a big deal. And I don't have an answer as to whether it's going to be anything other than what it is now, but what Shopify does have available is for current public apps that can be used for subscriptions, and that works with the Shopify checkout. So that's bold. Recharge is often a favorite paywall, and then there's Order Groove, which I believe is actually limited to Shopify Plus merchants. We also have a subscriptions API that developers and merchants can build experiences using that API directly into the Shopify checkout. And then more recently, just an update that subscriptions are compatible with Shopify payments and then now PayPal Express as of just a few days ago.
Thank you so much, Jill. Some of those apps off the from the App Store, like Recharge and Bold, they're really good.
They're really good. Yeah.
Okay, the next one is for Jess from Evocative. We're looking forward to learning and would like to ask if you have built a business with a database from bricks and mortar, I guess, background, and what are some ways to leverage that on the ground loyalty? Over to you, Jess.
Great question. Actually, this is one of the things that come up a fair bit last year, just after COVID hit, and we saw a lot of bricks and mortar store close down and move and pivot to online. So if you do have a relatively large database or even a small database, it's certainly something that you can import into your email marketing platform. Segmentation is definitely the name of the game. It's not really about the size of the list. If it's not generating sales and then people aren't engaged and they're not performing, then it doesn't really matter. So it's really important that you have the right strategies in place to re-engage those that are on that list if they have come from your bricks and mortar store. So segmentation based on their engagement with your brand. And then obviously for those VIPs, you can start to integrate different apps. I mentioned to you before some loyalty programs that we use for our clients. We do use a loyalty line the most, but there's another platform as well, Smile.io, which is certainly something that you can start to use and leverage and really start to re-engage those on that list and then invite them to sign up online. So there's certainly a lot more that you can do to encourage their engagement online if you're moving them onto your email marketing platform.
Thanks so much, Jess. And I think the main thing there is just start. I mean, email, we've talked about it, represents such a massive opportunity. And I think some people can be deterred by the fact that they don't have a massive list to begin with. But all starts with one subscriber. So get to work building that list. We'll stick with Jess again. I am moving from Amazon to Shopify now. Have you any marketing strategies in mind? I know who's asked this one, but over back to you, Jess.
That's a loaded question. There are a lot of different marketing strategies. It really just depends on, I guess, where your business is at, what your budget's like. Obviously, setting up your email marketing automation is extremely important. It's something that you can have once set up, running in the background, starting to encourage that reoccurring revenue coming through month on month. And then, of course, showing up for your customers at every stage they're at in the buying cycle. If you have the budget for paid media, then looking at platforms like Google, Facebook ads, Instagram advertising, we do specialize in that space. So having a look at strategies that you can start to leverage. We have what's called a full funnel strategy for Facebook and Instagram advertising. So we're really bringing in that cold traffic to the website and then encouraging them to take action and purchase at the closer to the bottom of the funnel where we start to see people abandoning carts. So it's just bringing people back to the stage they're at in the buying cycle, and of course bringing new people in. So that can be done across a lot of different platforms, but really, really important to remember that you don't own these platforms, but you do own your list. So start looking at list growth strategies and getting them in place, because wherever that traffic is coming from, you want to make sure you're capturing that really rich customer data.
Thanks so much, Jess. Okay, so this next one is back to Jill from Shopify. I work with schools that have different departments. How can I set up a customer with the school name and accounts email, and then have different contacts order products and receive shipping, and order update emails?
Good question. Quite specific. Probably something I would need to look into a bit more. My first question would be, in doing that, how are you really going to personalize or segment those customers based on their purchasing? So if you have a number of different users, first of all, I'm just trying to think of how it can be done, which is a really good question for our Shopify support team. So if anyone here is on Shopify, definitely utilize that team, because they are the ones who are day in, day out on the platform working with these merchants. So go to them, ask them questions they can figure out and work it through. But in that, you'd really want to, if these different contacts are buying different products, then I'd suggest you really would want to break that out if you can, so that you can target them with specific kind of engagement around those products, those different products that they're buying underneath those schools. Again, I would need a little bit more information, and whomever asked that, happy to have you reach out directly and we can walk through some scenarios.
Thanks so much, Jill. Certainly quite specific one there. All right, for the next one, we might bounce this out to maybe Alexandra or Sabrina. maybe both of you. How to tailor your store so you are targeting specific countries such as Australia and America, or anybody who wants to chime in with that one.
I can answer that from the Google advertising perspective. So if you do want to advertise in multiple countries, that's something that you can obviously add in the settings of the campaign, and also you can indicate on the Google feed. But probably I'll pass it to someone else to answer that from the Shopify store platform perspective.
Even just from my end, we do different campaigns on like Google and Facebook, obviously targeting different regions, but it's just the one website for us at the moment. So we don't differentiate, but obviously you can do for regions. It just starts to become a little bit more complicated if you wanted to do it that way. So we just segment it through our advertising at the moment.
Cool. Yeah, I might even dive in on that one as well. So there are a couple of different ways you can handle that. You can have a single store like Sabrina, and you can use amazing functionality like Shopify's multi-currency, so that if I'm hitting that store from the US, I'm going to see all my pricing in USD. I'm importantly going to be able to check out in US currency as well. If I access that store from an IP address that is located in Australia, I'm going to see all my pricing in Australian dollars. And importantly, I'm going to be able to check out in local currency as well. Alternatively, you can set up what we call regional expansion stores. So you can have an AU store, a US store, and then we can do things like geo IP redirects. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can either do what we call a soft redirect or a hard redirect. So a soft redirect, you've probably seen them. They're like a pop-up, hey, we've noticed that you're accessing the US store from Australia. Would you like to shop locally? Or we can just hard redirect it. So if you're accessing the US store, it automatically bounces you back to the AU store. There can be some challenges associated with that latter approach, but I hope that answers your questions, guys. I've got a few more. We're looking all right for time. So this next question is again out to Jill from Shopify, or Jess from Evocative Media. How do you construct a funnel for a high ticket item? As I think over $400 purchase is what they're shooting for. So guys, over to you.
I'll go first. So look, it really comes down to that nurture sequence. So it's very unlikely that you're going to get cold traffic to convert on that first touch point. So really important to ensure you have a full funnel strategy in place that nurtures people through the buying cycle and encourages that purchase. What we tend to do via Facebook and Instagram advertising is drive high value, high quality creative, or whether that's video or copy, to educate the consumers about the product offering. Education is, I think, definitely undervalued and underlooked when it comes to Facebook advertising. I think it's really important to have more than just beautiful creative assets. It's important to educate the consumer, and especially if it's high ticket, it just takes a little bit more to actually get that purchase. So really pulling them through that every stage of the funnel, from high to low. So you've obviously got top of funnel for cold traffic, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, and then obviously that retention loyalty component, which I think definitely underutilized. Encouraging repeat purchases can certainly happen regardless of the average order value. So really important to have a look at cross-channel marketing as well. So if you're not generating that sale from your full funnel strategy from Facebook and Instagram advertising, then you've actually got something like your email automations also educating and nurturing your buyers through those stages of the buying cycle as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Jess. And just to add on that, like what I would suggest, especially in a higher ticket item, is really define and determine that audience. So instead of going, like, really understand what is the problem that this product is going to solve, and tell that story and take those users on the journey with you. So focusing more so now on like the actual product page side of things, you really want to sell your outcomes and benefits over the features. So you don't need to go feature heavy. Sell those benefits. So use social proof, use user-generated content, use video, high quality images, etc. in that product description. Someone just asked if with videos, does it slow down the Shopify site? It shouldn't, so it's optimized for those videos from that product upload stage. You can also find themes that are specifically designed for utilizing video, high quality images, etc.
Great, some fantastic insights there. I definitely echo Jill's thoughts there with regards to the product detail page. Oftentimes with those larger average order values, they're kind of non-discretionary purchases. You have to work a little bit harder on those product detail pages. You really do need to think about the potential reasons why somebody might not want to make a purchase from you and resolve those conversion barriers. So those product detail pages just tend to be a little bit more detailed. I would also suggest maybe considering throwing in on-site chat, because that can really help with conversions. Oftentimes there's more questions associated with those sorts of things. So you could look at platforms like Gorgeous, free shout out to those guys. Amazing platform, and that can also help you with your broader social and help desk requirements as well. Okay, next question. How can I get more revenue through the Shopify tools? I think we'll just open this to everybody. And maybe we'll broaden this to Shopify tools and associated apps. Who wants to go first?
I'll jump in first. I think first thing before getting into what tools are going to make you successful, it's really honing in on your brand and being authentic and letting that shine through before relying on other apps, third-party apps, etc. So what I really love about Sabrina is that she owned her brand and she went hard with it and she didn't give up. And it was a representation of her and what she wanted it to be. She wasn't going out there and doing what everyone else was doing because she thought she should. It was really coming from her heart, and that's what sells. So I think that's kind of my key takeaway from that. But I'm sure there's other stuff out there as well from the panelists.
Yeah, I think, you know, no one has the same story as you, so that is authentically your own. So having a really clear story behind your product really helps people to engage with it on a deeper level. In terms of, like, I guess, apps and stuff, like all of those sorts of things can support you. So for example, I even have an app that has created a quiz. So you can go onto the site, you can do a quiz, and based on what your answers or what your pain point is, like if it's bleeding gums, or I want to, you know, whiten my teeth, or I just want general like oral care maintenance, based on your answers, it'll kind of recommend products to you. But also I use Klaviyo, I use Smile.o, I use all those things to really keep engaging with customers, because what you spend to get that traffic to your site, you really want to retain those customers and nurture them as well. So I think, yeah, just having an overall strategy of you know, nurturing that customer through all these apps on, you know, services that we've talked about really does help. And it can seem a bit overwhelming as well to start with. But you know, you grow and you learn as you go. So. Oh, someone's asking what the quiz is. I'll need to quickly jump in to remember. I can't remember off the top of my head what the app is, but I'll put it into the chat in a sec.
Anybody else want to have a stab at answering that one before we wrap things up? Okay, well, we're running actually 5 minutes over schedule, so maybe we will just wrap things up there. Finally, I'd just like to thank our amazing panelists. I know I speak on behalf of all our attendees today when I say that there was some amazing insights shared there today. So thank you all for taking the time to put that amazing content together. Thanks also to all of you, our attendees, for taking the time out of your busy day. And of course, if you'd like to reach out to us here at Process to discuss anything e-commerce related, please don't hesitate to do so. We're a friendly bunch and always keen to have a chat. So just a final reminder, we will be sending out the recording in the coming days, and that's a wrap. Thank you all so much for your time today.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks everyone.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.